So today, the menu is red deer stew. And we're gonna start by browning the deer meat. And I'm gonna use tallow as my fat to do that. It's pretty lean meat. And then I'll be putting it in a slow cooker and adding some broth and letting it go. Just probably salt for seasoning, maybe a little bit of pepper, and we'll be good to go. Beef tallow. I'm straining the deer meat so that I can use the blood and throw that in there later that runs off. Broth that I make a big batch of in the pressure cooker, and then I freeze it portion size for when I make stews. That's 1 kilo in the crock pot. I have 1 more kilo to cook, so I'm gonna deglaze my pan in between because otherwise it's gonna smoke a lot. And to do that, I use some of the chicken broth. Ooh, that's hot, hang on. Some of the chicken broth that I've already started melting down. Oh, I'm using a carbon steel frying pan, so there's no non-stick weird coatings on this pan. It's a fantastic pan. It heats evenly, but it does get very smoky, and I have terrible ventilation in this kitchen because it gets so hot, so hence my deglazing in between batches. Tallow is fantastic for cooking if you want to learn how to make your own, which I make for almost free. Just click on the link above. Something else I like to add when I brown is some ghee. It gives a buttery richness to the stew, and I'm running out here, but I'm going to add some ghee to this. For those of you that are carnivore, the ghee is clarified butter that has none of the dairy solids. It's all been taken out, so it's a Lion Diet friendly fat. throw the rest of the broth in. So that's about how much liquid I like to have in there. Not super covering, but enough to where the meat will braise for a few hours now. And then of course the last touch is my blood. And so I'll put my slow cooker on high just to heat all the way through. And probably in about 15 minutes, I will put it on low and it will go for several hours. And then I will taste it probably at about 3 or 4 hours to see how tender it is, because I've never cooked deer stew before. I don't know how long it's going to take to get fork tender, but we'll check back in a few hours. Okay, so it's been about 7 hours. It took a little bit longer than I thought to become fork tender, but it's quite savory and delicious. So the broth has turned into this nice savory gravy that is just the broth with the venison. So let's serve some up and give it a taste. I did end up adding a little bit of our garlic from last year that we had because I tasted it and it felt like it needed a little something. I'm not really a game person, so I'm developing a new palate. Delicious. This is super good. It's got a very rich flavor. It's fork tender. You can see the meat just falling apart here. It literally melts in your mouth. Yay for red deer stew.